technical issues. All right, hey, my name, I know most of you LifeForce people because I've been with LifeForce a while. Hey. My name's Danny DeRuiter. I was born in Panama, the country, not the vacation spot. I grew up, mom and dad, praise was scarce in my household, so I guess apparently I developed self-esteem issues, I guess, and I became an introvert, not whatever. Anyway, we moved to the States, and we lived in Florida, in Miami for a little bit, and I went to high school in Miami. And so I'm getting all a little flustered here. So I went to high school in Miami, and then when I graduated, my first job ever was working in a fast food joint. I was working at Hardee's. And then afterwards, I ended up working for Wendy's. Anyway, long story short, a couple years after graduation, I'm still working in fast food. I guess I'm doing okay, but I didn't know I wasn't happy, but like some people just kind of flounder through life and they just didn't know exactly what they wanted to do with their life, and I thought I knew. So then I tried several other jobs. I rented cars, I did real estate, I even was a mascot for an amusement park. And that went terribly. That's a story for another day. I'll tell you sometime later. Anyway, couldn't find anything, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the restaurant business because that's, of all the things that I've done, I kind of enjoyed that the most. And that was kind of, now it's like, oh my, that's sad. Oh. But anyway, I went back to the restaurant business, and I was a different person. I felt like I was angry all the time. And I guess if you're not fulfilling your life's purpose, if you're not on your path, then there is a little bit, your body's like, your soul is like, dude, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And there's that little bit of resentment building up. Anyway, I was yelling at the kids to put up the specials at the sign at the Wendy's, I think whatever it was, the burgers, and they were screwing around and they weren't doing a good job. So I said, well, you know what, if I have to do it myself, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So, damn it. So I went up there, I started slapping the letters on the sign, and I fell. And I landed on my ribs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't take a breath. And I couldn't breathe. And then all these guys are just sitting around looking at me, like I'm still on the floor, and everyone's looking at me. And I'm like, well, guys, do something. Call 911. Do something. And one of the girls that was working for me, she's like, well, I go to a chiropractor, and he's literally right around the corner. I can call him, and we'll see if he'll wait for you. And it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm like, what doctor does that crap? But I'm like, all right, whatever. Because I knew, like, if I go to the emergency room, it's going to be 3 hours, and that had happened to me before, and they don't do anything, and they send you home, and you get a bill in the mail. So I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I went to see this guy. And it's a nice old guy. He greeted me. He was the only one. I guess he let the staff go home, and he greeted me, and he was very nice, and he worked on me. And he worked on me over an hour. It was really late. It was dark when I left. And I was like, I could breathe. I was feeling better. I'm like, this guy's pretty good. So over time, I kept seeing him for stuff. And then one day, I am sitting in his office, and he's telling me, I have something going on with my adrenal glands and this and that. I'm like, how is that possible that he knows what's going on in my body? What is this? And I was just observing him, and I was like in love, like I was like mesmerized by this guy. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you know what? I would love to do what that guy does. That would be the coolest job ever. And then outside of my voice, of my head, I heard a voice that said, well, why don't you? And I nearly fell off the table. I mean, it scared me. It terrified me, because that had never happened before. So I try to keep it together and, focus, and I try to keep it together. I got the hell out of the office just because it freaked me out like nothing had ever done. So I got out of the office, and back then, in those days, if you wanted to find out anything, you had to go to the library and search the card catalog and do all that crap. So the very next day, I'm in the library looking at how do I become a chiropractor? What do you do? You didn't have the internet. You didn't just type it into Google and get a bunch of search results. You actually had to go in there. And so I remember, I'm like, okay, I wrote down all the schools, all the addresses, everything. I wrote to them, and I was like, okay, Portland sounds like a cool place to visit, and it's out there. And so I wrote to them, and I'm like, oh, Palmer? No, that's Iowa. There's nothing happening over there. That's too cold. Right. And then I'm like, geographically, I'm like, oh, cool, Atlanta. That's close enough to Florida that I can drive to see my family and friends and all that stuff. So, wrote to them. I got a letter. First thing I got back was from Life. Hey, you've been accepted. I'm like, oh. I thought it was a big deal. I thought it was a big deal. I'm like, oh my God, I got accepted. And then I remember I was so excited. I started telling people, and all my friends kind of shit on my dreams. Because my people, and I was so excited about this. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm gonna go to chiropractic school, I'm gonna do this. Like, you're not gonna do crap. You've never done anything in your life. You've never finished anything. I'm like, oh shit, they're right. I really haven't finished anything. I haven't done anything. I have a terrible attention span, and I really do, by the way. And it's like you can see the ADHD happening right here. But see, now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so everybody was putting down. This was what I wanted to do. This was my future. For once in my life, I knew what the hell I wanted to do. And now all my friends are like, nah, you're not gonna do crap. I'm like, okay. And that's when I realized you don't tell your friends your deepest dreams, because you gotta keep those to the people, just the very close people that you really think that will support you. So you protect your dreams. I did learn that the hard way. But anyway, so I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna do this. I really am gonna do this. So things work out when you are on the right path. I believe things kind of happen. So everything that had to happen happened. My marriage broke up. I was, by then I had been in marriage. My marriage it was already on the rocks, but everything kind of happened at the same time, and all of a sudden I had to do it. So within 3 months of my little experience, I was loading a U-Haul to move to Marietta. So I moved to Marietta, and like I said, the rest is history, I guess. It was a tough time. I mean, tough time, but it was like, I knew, how when like this is gonna be the toughest thing I've ever done, but I'm where I need to be. And I feel like right now I'm where I need to be. I love you guys, even though, it's, whenever they say this phrase, you guys love what I love, that's exactly, you love what I love. I love chiropractic. That's, so I am so, I feel at home here. Even though you might have seen me, and I'm kind of low key, and I'm kind of an introvert. I'll talk to people, but I'm not like the in your face kind of person. But anyway, long story short, I love chiropractic. I love what I'm doing. And this talk was going to be about philosophy, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I don't even know if we're timed, but please let me know from there.
You're great.
Okay. Anyway, there you go. Something happened yesterday. that kind of messed me up. And let me fill you in on a little bit of my life, and I'll tell you why it messed me up. My daughter, my 20-year-old daughter, has mental health issues, and we've been dealing with that, and it's been terrible. She's tried to take her life on repeated times. I feel helpless. I work on people all day. I change lives. I feel like this is what I'm here to do. That's my thing. I can help everybody. I really do feel like I can help everybody. I mean, it's like, Doc, come on, just come on in. Just come on in. And you know what? BJ used to say, a principled chiropractor, well, that's a response, that's a principled response, Doc, can you help me with this? And sometimes your patients just need to hear you say, I can help you, okay? So, in I visualize, and you're talking about visualization, I visualize everybody well. I don't care what you got. I have to visualize you well, and then I'll give you an adjustment. And in my, in my mind, that helps. That is my philosophy. That my visualization, the fact that I saw you well, is going to help you. Anyway, long story short, my daughter is having all these issues, and I can't help. I can't do anything. I'm helpless, and that kills me. Yesterday, I hugged Danny Gambino, and I couldn't stop crying. I didn't tell him that. I'm like, hey Danny, what's up? And I hugged him, and I took it all. I don't know if it took it all in, but I could relate to him. I felt all that in a second. He feels helpless. And if you don't know the story, we'll fill you in. He feels helpless. He feels powerless. The person he loves the most, he can't help. Okay, so I think at some level, we, like soul to soul connection, we bonded. Anyway, that's what happened to me. That messed me up. So that's why I'm talking about this. Anyway, and I've always thought that my sensitivity, my empathy, because that's what they tell me, I'm an empath, because let's deal with some of your anger, and I do emotional work at my office. I know some brains just went, but I do some of that stuff because I feel I am an empath. So anyway, I've always thought that was a fault. That was a defect. Okay? But I realize that's my superpower. Okay? Because that is what BT always said, put that extra something special in your adjustment. And everybody, and I have the quote. I don't know if you want to actually. Anyway, I was going to read it about the special something, and it's about this guy that, does anybody know the story? Yeah. Okay. The guy that's begging, and then he's asking for food, and then the guy's like, well, I'm not going to give you anything. You just have to, your problem is that you don't have that special something. And the guy's like, well, what is that special something? You'll find out. Here's my card. Let me know when you get it. And the guy's like, what the heck? So anyway, the guy goes to sleep, and he has a dream, and he's talking to that special something. And he's like, well, what are you? He's like, are you self-confident? And he's like, yes, but I'm more. Are you crap, I can't, are you power? Yes, but I'm more than that. Are you all these things, these positive, but no, I'm more than that. And I realized that yes, that special something, my special something is all those things, because when you talk to me as a chiropractor, because there's Danny and then there's Dr. Dan, I guess I feel like they're two different people, because Dr. Dan is super confident and he's the chiropractor, and Danny's, He's mean. But, so that special something that I put in, my special something, has a little bit of that empathy in it. And that's when I deliver my adjustments, and you know, someone asked me, it's like, how come when you go to one chiropractor, you can get this result, and you go to another chiropractor, you get totally different results, or I don't feel like it's the same, or they do it completely different. It's a special something. It's your art. I said, well, yeah. I tell people, it's like, you know, I really do feel like I'm an artist when I'm working, because I'm in my, like if you were to tell me, what adjustment did you just do, Doc? Oh, damn. I don't know. I was in the flow. I wasn't thinking. You know, so because you're in your little, you know, in your little world, and I'm making art. I'm doing my thing, and so I tell people, it's like, you know, you like art. You might like Picasso better, but that doesn't mean Cezanne is a piece of crap. You know, they're both artists. You got to appreciate the art. So that's how I explained. I don't know where that came from, but that's what I explained to them about how I see myself and how I see, and you know what, people do understand that, because chiropractic's a very personal thing. So I feel like you have to be a good chiropractor, you have to put in some of you. That's basically where I'm going with this. You know, you got to put in a little bit of you. Anyway. So, how are we doing?
13 more minutes.
Oh, wow. So I've accomplished a lot in 13, so now I can tap dance and just waste some time. So anyway, I had a lot of stuff that we were going to cover, but I don't want to deviate from it, because I feel like we did all right. And I guess that's it, man. I mean, unless somebody has like a really profound question or something, I think we're gonna leave it there. Is that cool?